So I was a very disciplined kid, did a lot of the things the right way, and I was known for that, you know. Growing up in North Carolina, Tennessee, all my friends, they knew me as the good kid. We were always gone on the weekends playing tournaments, and then we started moving a ton. I think we moved 8 times as a family growing up, and so it just made it hard to keep finding a home church, and it made it hard to keep finding community. Being the new kid so often, it's kind of cute at first, you know, being the good kid every time you move, but it gets old pretty quick. In order to find community every time we moved, I would kind of break a little bit of that morality just to kind of fit in. And what was funny is I kept going to church during all this. You know, I got involved in the youth group. I was also very good at being two-faced. I was also very good at following rules. Like, my parents never really suspected anything, but behind their backs, behind the church's back, I was doing sexual immorality. You know, I tried drugs, underage drinking, all that kind of stuff. And that carried over to college. You know, I was a Division I football player, you know, at the Bowling Green State University, played middle linebacker for them, and the Division I football life, it's kind of wild. You know, everybody kind of gives you everything you ever want or need, and there's plenty of alcohol and girls for guys that play Division I football, so I just dove right into that. And same thing, going to church on Sunday, getting involved with Fellowship of Christian Athletes, trying to lead, but also going back, you know, with my football buddies or whatever, and just doing what I had to do to fit in, you know, because that was the biggest thing that I yearned for earlier in my life, because we moved around so much. I just wanted community, and I found it through partying and doing these other things. And I don't know, I kept going to these parties, kept doing things that I knew in my heart weren't right, and I kept feeling I don't know, disgusted with myself is probably a good way to put it. Just felt really, really like, I don't know what I'm missing, but I feel like I'm missing something huge. So basically the first semester of my college career, 2013 and the beginning of 2014, that's when I was doing all those things. And I just remember we had this big defensive end. His name is Ronnie Goebel. You know, he's like 6'4", he's like 260, 270 pounds. Just a big, burly guy, right? He comes and sits down next to me. He's like, "Hey, you want to come to a Bible study?" I'm like, You study the Bible? Like, you're huge. Why would you need God? Like, that didn't make sense to me. So I showed up, and after a while, you know, I found out that him, along with a couple other guys on the team, you know, they did this Christian thing. Early on in 2014, I came back from Christmas break. I needed to blow off some steam, I guess, and so I went out with all my buddies, and we just did what we do as Division I football players. And that next weekend, I was planning on doing the same thing, you know. So the Friday night, that Ronnie and Alfonso and a couple other Fellowship of Christian Athlete leaders, they invited me to a hockey game. Afterwards, they were like, "Hey, come hang out with us some more. We want to get to know you a little bit better." So we went to this house where, like, you know, these big offensive linemen, defensive linemen lived all together, and we hung out in this basement, and we just played like simple little games. You know, what I thought was lame ended up being one of the best nights of my life. You know, as a kid searching for community, like longing for community, I had never experienced such genuine, you know, companionship. So that next night is Saturday night. There's another hockey game, but I'm like, no, I'm gonna go, you know, hang out with some other guys. I'd met a girl the previous weekend, so I dropped off some teammates at a party they were going to go pregame at, and then I was like, I'm going to go to this girl's dorm room, and we're going to get ready to go out together. And I remember sitting outside of her dorm in my car and just feeling this, I've never heard the voice of God, like, audibly, but I just felt this overwhelming, like, hey, this is a big point in your life. This is a big decision. Either A, go in here and it will lead you down a path, or B, there's another hockey game tonight, the FCA crew's going, go with them. I couldn't get out of my car. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna, as Ben Snyder says, I'm gonna honor God and trust him with the consequences. And so I left that girl's dorm. I said, hey, I'm sorry, I'm not feeling well. Went to the hockey game with these people. Again, we're down in the basement, and again, we're just hanging out, having a good time. And that night, I found Jesus, you know, officially. I was like, I have never seen such beautiful community. You know, I saw the beauty of Christ in his people, and I didn't want anything else from that point on. Like I experienced it, what I was longing for the first time. I was like, I'm not leaving this alone. And I dove right on in. I started serving in the church. I was on the production team. I don't know a whole lot about actual production, but I'm good at lifting heavy speakers, and so that's what they use me for. And then I started leading FCA there. I led a Bible study for years. I started going on mission trips. I got to baptize my best friend in the Gulf of Mexico. Like, just got to do some really cool things. When I finally dove into the community that God had for me, it was like how genuine they were, and just the depth of those relationships. You know, the stuff that we were able to work that through. You know, there's a couple of guys that know like the depths of my soul, the darkness, you know, of my soul, and have helped me work through certain things that I feel like I would have never discovered or never been able to get through without, you know, their help. And they've just been satisfying. Like this, I've never experienced so much satisfaction and fulfillment than outside of being able to come alongside brothers and sisters in Christ and serve his kingdom. So it's just like when God talks, or Jesus talks about an abundant life, I think that's what he's talking about through his community, is those satisfying, fulfilling moments with his people.